Or ladies and gentlemen, let's talk straight today, because if you're dating, talking, or just trying to figure out what's going on in that mysterious female brain, you better believe she's testing you. Not because she's playing games, or not because she's mean, but because she's trying to see what kind of man you are. When a woman begins to test a man, or it often comes from a deep psychological instinct, an unspoken desire to assess his emotional and mental strength. These tests aren't always conscious or intentional, but they serve a real purpose. For a woman, especially one who is emotionally mature or seeking a serious relationship, it's not just about attraction or chemistry, or it's about trust, safety, and long-term compatibility. She wants to know, can this man handle pressure? Will he fold under stress? Is he consistent, confident, and composed when things don't go his way? These questions aren't asked directly, of course. Instead, they're answered through a series of subtle behaviors and interactions. What many call tests. A delayed response to your text, a sharp comment during a conversation, or a sudden withdrawal of attention, or even a playful jab. These actions are often her way of watching how you respond. Do you become emotionally reactive? Do you get angry or insecure or chase after her? Or do you stay composed, grounded, and self-respecting? A man who is emotionally strong doesn't need constant validation, or he doesn't overreact when plans change or when he faces a little resistance. He doesn't see every challenge as a threat. He sees it as an opportunity to show who he truly is. Or this is what she's really looking for. Not perfection, not wealth, not charm alone, but emotional resilience. It's the ability to stay calm when things are uncertain, or to remain centered when others are pushing your buttons, and to hold your identity even when you're being questioned. From an evolutionary psychology standpoint, women are naturally drawn to men who exhibit leadership traits, strength, and emotional discipline. In the past, a man who could keep his cool under pressure was more likely to survive, protect, and provide. That biological wiring still exists today. Or she wants to feel secure with you, not just physically, but emotionally. Or an emotional strength is a key indicator of whether you'll be someone she can rely on when life gets tough. But here's where many men fail. Or they see these tests as games or manipulation, and they take them personally. They get frustrated, offended, or even try to fight back with sarcasm or withdrawal. But a man who understands what's happening sees it for what it is: feedback. It's not necessarily about her being difficult. It's about her seeking clarity. Or she's not asking you to be perfect. She's asking, can I trust your character when things don't go smoothly? Passing these tests doesn't mean acting indifferent or cold. It means responding with calm confidence. Or it means not chasing when she pulls back, not getting angry when she challenges your opinion, and not collapsing when she shows you an attitude. Or it's about holding the same energy regardless of how she behaves. That doesn't mean tolerating disrespect or rudeness, but it does mean knowing the difference between someone who is emotionally curious and someone who is genuinely toxic. Women are incredibly intuitive, they can sense when a man is pretending to be confident versus when he actually is. That's why emotional strength is so attractive. It's not something you can fake for long, it's something you develop through self-awareness, life experience, and discipline. The way you respond to her tests reflects your internal world. If you're secure or self-respecting and purpose-driven, she'll feel it and she'll respond to it. So the next time you feel like you're being tested, don't get angry. Get composed, remember that she's not trying to bring you down. She's trying to see if you can rise above. And if you do, not only will she respect you more, she'll start to feel that deeper, more instinctive attraction that only a strong, grounded man can evoke. There's a powerful shift that happens in how a woman sees a man when he stops trying to please and starts holding his ground. Many men, especially those who deeply care about someone or are afraid to lose a woman's interest, fall into the trap of constantly agreeing, over-apologizing, or bending over backward just to keep things smooth. While this may feel like the right move in the moment, keeping the peace, avoiding conflict, or showing that you care, it often backfires in the long run. Why? Because women aren't attracted to men who compromise their values, opinions, or self-respect just to gain approval. A man who holds his ground respectfully and confidently sends a different message. He's not arrogant or combative. He's rooted, or he has principles. He knows what he believes, what he wants, and where his boundaries lie. That kind of man doesn't need to win someone over by being overly agreeable. Instead, or he wins respect by staying true to himself, even if it means risking disagreement or short-term tension. Or when a woman challenges your opinion or tests your reaction by disagreeing with you, she's not necessarily looking for a fight. Often, she's looking for strength, or she wants to know that you can handle pressure without collapsing, that you can have a differing viewpoint without becoming defensive or needy. Or when a man changes his opinion every time he feels it might create friction, it shows that he values comfort more than truth. And deep down, or that reads as weakness, not kindness. Pleasing behavior often comes from insecurity. It's a way of trying to control the outcome by avoiding rejection. But ironically, or this people-pleasing approach makes rejection more likely. When a man constantly tries to make a woman happy at the expense of his own needs or beliefs, or he's showing that her approval matters more to him than his self-worth. And no one wants to carry the emotional weight of someone who can't stand on their own. Or women may appreciate kindness, empathy, and compromise in a relationship, but not at the cost of strength. In fact, or the most attractive balance is a man who is both kind and firm, a man who listens but doesn't blindly agree, who considers her feelings but doesn't ignore his own. Or that's the kind of man who creates trust. Because when you hold your ground, you show that you are stable, predictable in the best way. You're not swayed by emotion alone, or you respond rather than react. In contrast, the man who tries to please everyone is often inconsistent. One day he says one thing, or the next day he says the opposite, just to avoid upsetting someone. This creates confusion. It erodes trust. She starts to wonder, oh, is this man really? Or, and can I rely on him when things get hard? Of course, holding your ground doesn't mean being stubborn, dismissive, or disrespectful. Or it doesn't mean ignoring her point of view or refusing to grow. It means you're willing to engage, even disagree, without losing your center. Or it means you're not afraid to say no or to express what matters to you, even if it's unpopular. Or that's where real masculinity shows itself, not in control or dominance, but in calm conviction. A woman wants a partner who challenges her, not one who just follows her. Or she wants someone who inspires her to rise, not someone who shrinks to make her comfortable. So when you hold your ground with integrity, presence, or in respect, you send a clear message. I am a man of value, or with or without your approval. And that message is far more attractive than any attempt to win her over by pleasing. When it comes to attraction and relationship dynamics, or emotional reactivity is one of the fastest ways to fail a woman's subconscious test. Emotional reactivity means responding impulsively or letting your emotions control your behavior instead of staying grounded and composed. It shows up as getting angry when plans change, acting insecure when she pulls away, or overanalyzing every little thing she says or does. And while these reactions may seem justified in the moment, they often reveal more than you intend, mainly, or that your sense of self is too dependent on her validation or attention. Women are naturally intuitive. They pay attention to how a man handles stress, disappointment, or emotional uncertainty. When she pulls back or acts distant, it's often not about rejecting you. Sometimes she's just observing, not to manipulate, but to understand. Or she's asking herself, how does this man respond when he's unsure? Can he regulate himself, or does he fall apart? The man who gets angry, sends long emotional messages, or tries to guilt trip her into behaving a certain way is showing that he's not in control of himself. That kind of behavior creates emotional pressure, or which is not only unattractive but also exhausting to be around. Or reacting emotionally in the early stages of dating, or even in a long-term relationship, can create a sense of instability, or it makes the woman feel like she has to manage your feelings or tiptoe around your sensitivities. And once she starts doing that, the dynamic shifts. Or she no longer sees you as a strong, grounded partner, but as someone who might drain her energy over time. Or emotional reactivity turns what could be a healthy relationship into a power struggle because it puts her in a position where she has more emotional control than you do. Or staying calm under pressure, however, sends a very different message. It tells her that you're emotionally mature, that you're not easily shaken, that you can handle life or people, and yes, even her moods, without becoming unstable. This is a form of leadership, and leadership is attractive when you respond instead of react, or you communicate that you value yourself, that you trust the process, and that you won't let temporary emotions steer long-term behavior. Of course, or emotional control doesn't mean suppression. You're not a robot, and you don't have to pretend things don't bother you. But there's a huge difference between acknowledging your feelings internally and letting those feelings dictate your actions. If you feel hurt or confused, take a step back or reflect. Ask yourself, what's the most mature, grounded way to deal with this? Maybe it means taking space. Maybe it means communicating calmly and directly. Either way, or it starts with not reacting in the heat of the moment. When a woman tests you through pulling back, teasing, or disagreeing, she's not necessarily looking for a fight. Or sometimes she just wants to feel out your depth. Can you handle tension, or do you crack under pressure? Can you maintain your masculine frame, or do you collapse into emotional chaos? The man who passes this test is the one who remains clear-headed, who stays connected to his values, and who doesn't let temporary emotions destroy long-term connection. Ironically, the more emotionally composed you are, the safer she feels being emotionally open with you. Or the more stable you are, the more she trusts you with her own vulnerability. So emotional control isn't about distancing yourself. It's about earning the trust that allows for deeper closeness later. In the end, emotional reactivity is the mark of someone who hasn't yet mastered himself. And a man who hasn't mastered himself can't lead, can't protect, and can't be fully trusted. If you want to pass the test, not just to win her over, but to build something real, you have to lead yourself first. Respond with calm or move with purpose, and never let momentary emotion make permanent decisions. Humor and confidence are two qualities that, when combined, create an incredibly attractive and magnetic presence. One often feeds into the other. Confidence gives rise to humor, and humor reinforces confidence. This connection is especially noticeable in dating and relationships. When a man is genuinely confident, he doesn't take himself too seriously. He's relaxed in his own skin, comfortable with imperfections, and not afraid to laugh at himself or tease others playfully. That kind of light-hearted energy is disarming, it makes people feel good around him, especially women. Humor, when used well, shows that a man is socially intelligent, it takes awareness to know what kind of joke is appropriate in the moment. It takes self-trust to throw a line out there, not knowing exactly how it will land, that in itself is a confident act. A man who's constantly worried about saying the wrong thing or offending someone tends to play it too safe. He filters himself or tiptoes through conversations and ends up being forgettable. But the man who can joke naturally without trying too hard signals that he's relaxed and in control, not just of the conversation, but of himself. Women are especially tuned into this. A good sense of humor is consistently ranked as one of the most attractive traits a man can have, not because women are looking for a stand-up comedian, but because humor reflects deeper qualities. It reveals perspective, creativity, and resilience. Life is full of tension, challenges, and awkward moments. A man who can laugh through discomfort without becoming bitter or cynical is showing that he has the strength to stay light even when things get heavy. That kind of presence is rare, and women notice it quickly. Confidence at its core is not arrogance. It's not loud or performative. It's the quiet belief that you're enough without having to prove it all the time. When humor comes from that place, it's effortless. Or you're not joking to impress or to get a reaction. You're just being you. That's when your personality shines the most. You're not scared to be playful or to push boundaries a little or to flirt with wit and charm. You're not worried about whether she'll approve because your value doesn't depend on her reaction. Ironically, or that's exactly what makes the humor land so well, it's genuine. On the other hand, forced humor or nervous joking has the opposite effect. It often signals insecurity. Or if a man is constantly trying to be funny to fill silence or to get attention, it becomes obvious. It feels off, the laughter might come, but it's not rooted in real connection. It's an attempt to cover up discomfort. True confidence means being okay with silence, or being okay with not always being the funniest person in the room, and knowing that your value isn't tied to constant performance. Or the balance of humor and confidence also plays out in how a man handles teasing or pushback. If a woman jokes at his expense or throws a playful jab, the confident man laughs, or maybe teases her right back and keeps the energy fun. The insecure man, however, might get defensive or shut down. This is one of the many subconscious tests women use. Or they're not just seeing if you're funny, they're seeing if you can handle pressure while keeping the mood light. That's a rare and valuable trait. In relationships, humor becomes even more important. It helps resolve tension, break through arguments, and create emotional intimacy. Or a shared laugh builds connection in a way that serious conversation often can't. But again, the foundation is confidence. Without it, humor can become passive-aggressive or self-deprecating in unhealthy ways. With it, humor becomes a tool for bonding, growth, and joy. So when you combine true confidence with real humor, you get a man who is not only attractive but memorable, someone who brings levity to heavy situations, or who makes others feel at ease, and who reminds everyone around him that life doesn't always have to be so serious. When it comes to building trust and attraction, nothing speaks louder than a man's actions. Words are easy. They can be rehearsed, copied, exaggerated, or even completely false. But actions reveal character, they show what a person truly believes, values, and prioritizes. And in the world of dating and relationships, women are especially sensitive to this truth. A man can say all the right things, promising loyalty, commitment, or affection, but if his actions don't match, those words quickly lose meaning. Attraction, respect, or an emotional connection are not built through talk alone. They are built over time through consistent behavior. Women pay close attention to whether a man follows through on what he says. Did he call when he said he would? Did he show up on time? Did he take the lead when it mattered? These might seem like small things, but they speak volumes. Each time a man aligns his actions with his words, he builds credibility, and credibility is the foundation of trust. On the other hand, when there's a gap between what a man says and what he does, it creates uncertainty. If he says he's serious but disappears for days, or says he respects her but crosses her boundaries, she'll notice. No matter how charming or articulate he is, the inconsistency creates emotional dissonance. She may not always point it out directly, but she will start to withdraw. Why? Because deep down she can't rely on him. His words become empty. And she'll start to question everything else that comes out of his mouth. Many men fall into the trap of thinking that if they just say the right things, they can win a woman over, they try to impress with big statements or romantic gestures that aren't backed by real consistency. But what women truly respect is a man who shows up again and again without being told, without needing applause. A man who does what he says even when it's inconvenient. That's rare. And because it's rare, it's deeply attractive. This doesn't just apply to grand gestures or promises about the future, it applies to how you live your life day to day. Are you taking care of your health? Are you pursuing your goals? Are you treating people with respect? Or are you disciplined with your time? All of these things reflect your values, and women notice them. They don't just listen to your talk about ambition. They watch how you act when no one's watching. That's when your true character is revealed. In relationships, action also speaks to emotional maturity. It's easy to say you care about someone, but how do you act when they're upset or struggling? Do you listen? Do you show patience? Or do you make the effort to understand even when it's uncomfortable? That's what makes a difference. Not flowers after a fight, but the ability to remain steady during the storm. Not just saying, I love you, but proving it through respect, consistency, and presence. Or actions are a man's silent truth. They don't require validation and they don't need to be broadcasted. They simply show who you are. And the more aligned your actions are with your words, the more magnetic your presence becomes. A woman might be intrigued by what you say, but she falls in love with what you do. So if you want to stand out, not just as someone who talks a good game, but as someone worth investing in, start with your actions. Or be someone whose behavior backs up his words, someone who doesn't promise more than he can deliver, but delivers more than he promises. Because in the end, real respect and attraction are earned not through convincing speeches, but through quiet consistency. And in a world full of talkers, being a man of action is what truly sets you apart. So when a woman tests a man, it's easy for him to feel frustrated, confused, or even disrespected. Many men misinterpret these moments, thinking she's just playing games, being difficult, or looking for reasons to walk away. But in reality, testing often means the opposite. It's a sign of interest. A woman doesn't bother testing a man she has no curiosity about. If she's indifferent, or there's no need to challenge him or explore his character, testing is, more often than not, her way of trying to understand whether he's the kind of man she can truly invest in. This is especially true for women who have standards, they've likely had past experiences where words didn't match actions, or where initial attraction turned into disappointment. So now, they're more cautious, and rightly so. They want to know if the man in front of them is emotionally stable, self-assured, and authentic. They want to feel safe, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. These tests help them find out if a man can lead, stay calm under pressure, and remain consistent. Tests can come in subtle ways. Maybe she goes quiet for a bit to see how he responds. Maybe she disagrees with something he says, just to see if he gets defensive. Or maybe she makes a sarcastic comment or teases him playfully. While it may seem like she's being difficult, what she's actually doing is watching his emotional responses. Does he stay grounded? Does he take the bait and get reactive? Or does he handle it with confidence, maturity, and a sense of humor? This kind of testing isn't about manipulation, it's about protection. She's protecting her emotional investment. She's assessing whether he is who he says he is, not just through words, but through behavior. If he passes these small tests with calm and self-respect, he communicates a powerful message. You can be safe with me, I won't be shaken by every mood swing, challenge, or disagreement. But when a man fails the test by overreacting, getting needy, or trying too hard to please, he reveals insecurity. He shows that his self-worth is too dependent on her approval. That's not attractive. It creates pressure, not safety. And it makes her feel like she has to carry the emotional weight of the relationship, which no woman truly desires. On the other hand, when a man sees testing as a sign of interest, his whole perspective changes. Instead of getting upset, he becomes aware, he understands that these moments are opportunities to demonstrate strength, not prove anything. He doesn't need to explain himself endlessly or try to win her over. He simply shows up with integrity, holds his frame, and lets his character speak louder than any performance. The more interest a woman has, the more careful she becomes. That's why sometimes, the deeper the connection, the more she might test. She's not doing it to sabotage the relationship. She's doing it to see if it's real. If she didn't care, she wouldn't test at all. She'd walk away without a second thought. So when you notice her challenging you, pulling back, or creating small moments of tension, don't take it personally. Recognize it for what it is, a reflection of her interest and a request for reassurance, not through words, but through consistency, calmness, and confidence. The men who understand this dynamic are the ones who build deeper connections, because instead of resisting the tests, they rise above them, not to impress her, but because that's just who they are. In the end, her testing isn't a barrier to connection. It's a gateway, and when you pass through it with strength and authenticity, you don't just win her attention, you earn her respect, her trust, and potentially her heart.